In a world dominated and regulated by words and numbers, there are hundreds of millions of people who live with the lifelong disability to read. I met her in London, where I was looking for a character for my next film. Lennie runs a festival for dyslexic artists.
I love it when I get these emails. It tells me that someone else has booked a ticket online. This is good. This makes me happy.
Later that evening, I found a post on Twitter. A Bulgarian journalist is making a documentary about the festival. Random but true. From then on, I had an open ticket to Lennie's life. Her dyslexia makes her confuse P with B. M is confused with W. Z with N. 3 with E.
I think you suffer more as a child when you've got dyslexia. I think by the time you go into adulthood, you've learned how to either disguise whatever your weaknesses are or to magnify them and use them in a positive way. I can only explain it as complete frustration. So for example, that word, I read it automatically as starting, and then it's like, oh, it's not starting, it's starring. So things like that. So it's words that are really similar that I struggle with. It's not that I'll look at a newspaper and I can't read it at all. What does happen is that I'll move, my eyes will move around, and I might read something and I can't remember what I've read, and it's almost like I haven't read it.
Walking with Lennie along the streets of London, I suddenly noticed a jungle of signs and text.
For me now, I've just got to a point where I'm oblivious to it, which I think is why I haven't learned how to drive, because I don't want to have the pressure of having to learn all of the road signs. And like sometimes if I see a sign and it says you can only turn left, I will turn right or something. So like it's quite dangerous.
Dealing with text messages and emails is not easy either. An incorrect date and time meant we almost missed our first appointment.
I do a lot of retracking. Like I'll send an email and then like we spoke, it's like, oh, like, so you kind of make plans and then quickly change them when you realise that you've made an error. And because I've got so much to remember, it's also my fault. Like I should write everything down, but I'm always usually doing like 20 things at the same time. So as soon as I got off the phone to you, instead of writing it down, probably the phone rang again, and that 7 o'clock appointment was probably for someone else, and I was at the theatre and I met someone else at that time. So it's like a cross-pollination of stuff happens. And I think the funny thing is, even among the chaos, like look around, you can see it, there's order. And even though we made that error, we still met up.
Yeah.
So, so I don't know what the system is, but it works.
It's not stupid. How do you do it?
I don't know.
You went without them.
So?
Show us how you do it.
I
How long's
don't
cross?
know.
You left.
I came back.
The thing about my play is that I wanted it to illustrate what imagination is, and for the audience to not really know if imagination is a positive, like if it's dangerous, like when does your imagination become dangerous? went to America and I was working out there, and I was working with a lot of actors, and we'd devise things and I'd create situations out of nothing, and then together we'd like devise a story and then we'd produce it. And then I thought I really like this free, fresh, almost immediate way of storytelling where you don't have to sit in a quiet space with your computer and think of a story at the beginning and then work your way through systematically, that you could begin telling a story at any point and it should be an active experience. It shouldn't be a solitary experience.
Bye. See you, Charlotte. Bye. Bye, Charlotte.
A lot of people are like, oh, I didn't quite understand it. That makes me happy. I'm like really excited. So an adult came up to me and they're like, Lennie, I feel really uncomfortable watching that. Like, I don't know why, but that's really spooked me. And I'm thinking, wow, if theatre, you come to the theatre, you know that it's not real, you come to the theatre and you still feel uncomfortable, then that's good. I've created something in you. I've like moved something in you. I spend every minute of the day with her because I work from home, so she's always with me. And then when I go to meetings, I try to go to meetings where she can come along as well. She's the company mascot, so everyone knows that where I go, the dog's going to be there as well. She was born in prison, so because her mum's a pit bull, they took the dogs off of my brother, and they had to destroy the mum. She's a bit crazy. She thinks she can fly. So in her life, she's jumped off of the 2 buildings. So many stories with this dog. Born in prison, jumps off buildings.
There is one more challenge in front of Lennie: how to make her festival a profitable business.
I don't know, I think dyslexics have a big issues about being told what to do. And I think that's why I set up my own business, because I don't really want anyone telling me what to do. I want to always be able to have the freedom to have an idea and to go through with it. But maybe that's something I've got to learn how to deal with, you know, being able to work collaboratively and being able to share the ideas. The organisation is the hardest thing for me to cope with. I think like what the festival needs, you know what I was saying to you before about making it respected as new writing, not just respected because it's dyslexic writers, to be able to go somewhere like the Soho or one of the other bigger theatres where there is a really strong emphasis on new writing. I think it would just escalate the project to a higher level and people will respect what we're trying to do in a new way, not just because every writer's dyslexic, but because the writing is good.
Developing the festival is not a simple task.
We do the festival every year, and now we're in our 4th year. We've been doing it since 2007. I think that makes it 4 years. And I'm looking for a venue for next year, but I actually rang originally because I wanted someone to come down from Camden People's Theatre to come down and see what we're doing, to see if you guys would be interested in hosting the festival next year. It's quite unusual that dyslexic people want to be writers, but there is a lot of us out there that are writing really good stories. Okay, so do you think then that would be a reason why you wouldn't be interested in the festival? I think what I try to do is just constantly stay true to what my abilities are. And I think because in the past I was always pretending that there wasn't a problem, that I wasn't dyslexic, that I tried to avoid letting anyone see what the weakness was, I kind of almost feel like now that I'm proud of being dyslexic, that it's a rebirth in myself and in my energy. And I think that's the biggest, I think that's what makes me motivated.
Lennie, one of the hundreds of millions of people with dyslexia who live in this world dominated and regulated by words and numbers.